Hi everyone, I've put together this video to help you on any of the questions on this sheet where you're stuck. And the way that I want you to use the video is the same way as I want you to use the video when I make them for your homework booklets, which is two things. First of all, just use them for the questions you're stuck on. And secondly, never be writing and watching the video at the same time. So when you come to a question that you're stuck on, use my help video. I've time-stamped the video so that you can go straight to question 2 if you're stuck on question 2 or question 3 or what have you. All the question numbers are time-stamped so you can go straight to the help for that particular question. And when you do that, don't write anything, just watch the video and just focus on trying to understand. Then stop the video and then you try and do the question yourself. That way is much more helpful than just copying down what I'm talking about and writing at the same time. Okay, let's just go over the questions then. So question 1. This one should be fairly straightforward. You can see that we've got the same amount of y here, but this is positive and this is negative. If you add together those two equations, those will drop out, those will cancel each other out, and you'll have a nice equation. So that should be easy. Here, you've got plus 2y and minus 3y. Now, my guidance to you would be to make this the same. I would multiply this by 2 and this by 3 to give you minus 6y and plus 6y, and then I would add. And I'm doing that because this is negative and this is positive, and it always helps to make these things the same and then add if you see them. You could, if you were really careful, just multiply this by 5 and then subtract this equation from this one, but it's all about then taking away negative numbers, and it often leads to mistakes. So you could do it that way, but my recommended way, which is much more straightforward and much less likely to make mistakes, is to make this and this have the same amount of y here and then add the equations. In the same way, you could subtract this one from this one because you've got 2x there and 2x there, and taking it away would work. But then you've got 5y, take away minus 5y. So you've got to be really careful there. And you've got minus 10, take away 8. So you've got to be careful. It will work, but you've got to be careful. The best way, in my opinion, would be to multiply everything here by 5, so giving you minus 5y there. And then you can just add these equations together, and it makes it much more simple. Here, everything's positive. So you've either got to make the same amount of x or the same amount of y by multiplying both equations by numbers. It's your choice. Whichever you do, you'll subtract one equation from the other. So make the same amount of x or the same amount of y. So this is basically a brown belt question. This is a question like there was on the brown belt sheet. So if you go back to the work you did on the brown belt questions, this is just like it. And whatever you did there, if you've done it so far, you can do here. If we look at this, you can see minus 5y and plus 5y. Brilliant. Just add the equations together. You're laughing. It'll work. Same thing here. Plus 2y minus 2y. The same amount of y, but one's positive and one's negative. Add the equations. Here, you've got 4x minus y and 2x minus 3y. These are both minuses. I think if I was doing this, I would double this equation, giving me 4x minus 6y equals 8. Now you've got to be careful. It's 4x take away 4x, that's 0. But then you've got minus y take away minus 6y. Be careful, you're taking away minus 6. What does that mean? Okay, it should work out, it will work out, but you've got to be careful with those negative numbers. Here, if I was doing this one, I would multiply this by 2 to get the same amount of y and then subtract the equations. Here I would multiply everything by, let me just see, I think I would multiply everything here by 3 and then I would subtract the equations. Here I've got a positive and a minus, so I'm going to home in on that. It's going to be much more simple for me to multiply these numbers by 2, these numbers by 5, giving you 10y in both equations, and then add. Now when we come on to question 11, 12 and 13, or 11 and 12, they look a little bit different. And all that means is you've got to rearrange things before you can start doing it. So this question doesn't look so much like this one. It looks different because we're used to having x's and y's on one side and the number on the other. So in that case, you would take this y over to the other side, take y from both sides, and that would give you 3x minus y equals 9. And now you can solve it like you've been solving the earlier equations. In the same way here, you've got 3y plus 11 equals 4x. Now we're used to having the letters on this side and the number on the other. So we need to take away 11 from both sides, and we need to take away 4x from both sides. So that will give me 3y minus 4x equals minus 11. I'll just let you think about that and write that down. 3y minus 4x equals minus 11. And then you can solve it in the same way. In the same way, this 1 here needs to be over here, so take away 1 from both sides. 10x plus 2y equals minus 1. And then you can solve it. Question 13 and question 14 are fairly simple once you understand what it's asking you to do. As you can see, question 13, you look at this first of all and you might say, well, how is this a simultaneous equation? Well, it's a real life simultaneous equation. So what you could do is say, okay, 2 coffees and 3 cakes. Now annoyingly, they put C for coffee and C for cakes. So let's call it D for drink. D for drink and C for cake. So you could write 2D plus 3C equals 9.95. 1D, one drink, plus 4C equals 10.35. And then you can solve the simultaneous equation in the same way as you've been solving all the other ones. Here, sweets are sold in small packs and in big packs. There's a total of 175 sweets in 4 small packs and 3 big packs. So you need to write that as a simultaneous equation. So you write 4S for small plus 3B for big equals 175. 5S plus 2B equals 154. And then you've got a simultaneous equation that looks exactly like the ones you were doing in the brown belt section, and you can solve it. You can solve what B is and what S is, and that will be the answer for the number of sweets in each small pack and in each big pack. Okay, I hope that works for you. If it doesn't, if you need a hand on any particular question, drop me a line and I'll give you a hand. Happy to give you a one-to-one Zoom. Please do that rather than doing nothing, okay? Thank you. Cheers. Bye.